to the W Show. I'm Sarah Ollie, back as she is every week. Sarah Black, hello to you, Sarah.
Good to see you, Sarah.
Always. And our special guest this week is Hawks coach Dan Webster. Hello to you, Dan, and welcome to the W Show.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's good to be here.
5-1. It's a nice place to be, my friend. We'll get to your Hawks in just a little bit. But Sarah, what's caught your eye this week?
There was one image on Instagram that I saw and immediately fell in love with. And that is, of course, that of Kiara Bowers breastfeeding her son, Luca, post-match. This was captured by Kiara's partner, Adele, and it's just beautiful and shows what sort of superhumans these women are.
And such contrasting, I guess, a picture there, but also the footage here, because Kiara on the field, Dan, is such a bull. We know that she just tackles for fun, but that's such an intimate, beautiful moment, and incredible that they were contrasted, the game and then with her son post-match. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's one of the best things about W, isn't it?
It really is, and we're seeing all these stories, Sarah, mums coming through. They're coming back to play as well. It is really stunning. Something that wasn't so stunning at the weekend, though, a controversial call very late in that Geelong win over Port Adelaide. What's the AFL said about it?
Yes, so this was an incident involving Amelie Borg, the Port Adelaide key defender. 7 minutes to go, roughly, just over 7 minutes to go in the game. Amelie could not keep her feet to save herself. This was called deliberate rush behind, which is a very rare decision, both in men's and women's footy. It was paid, Geelong converted, kicked the goal. They ended up winning by 5 points. Now, the Power have come out and said they requested a please explain, a reverse please explain, which I love. And the AFL have said that, yes, this was a mistake and shouldn't have been paid in this manner. Tricky one, because Geelong went on to win by 5 points. But as I said, nearly 8 minutes left on the clock at the time. So I don't think this is a deciding factor in the game. You'd be disappointed if you're a Power fan or player, however.
It kind of was an 8-point game, though, wasn't it? Because these are two sides around the same mark. The Cats are now in the 8. The Power is still hovering just outside of it. So you would understand if the team, Port Adelaide, is a little bit, I was going to use another word beginning with S, but a little bit peeved there, Dan. As a coach, how do you move on? Because you do have to do that. There's a game of footy to play the next week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a challenging thing, but the umpires, they do make mistakes, but we generally make more. So, yeah, it's very difficult in that sense. But you just have to move on because what's done is done.
Now, holding the ball. I know you've been hot on this because the umpires have been hot on that.
Yep.
You were pretty vocal after a game earlier in the year against Carlton that too many free kicks were being paid.
Yep.
Have you seen any change since then?
No, I think in our games we're still averaging close to 40 free kicks a game, which is about 1 every 2 minutes. Look, in my personal opinion, I think it's been the rules been a gross kind of overreaction to a problem they were trying to solve around clearances, and now we're having free kicks paid when the ball's actually out and gone, and we're having to pull slow the game down and bring the ball back. So I think there's some flow-on effects. I mean, my biggest thing is, my personal view is that the rules should be put in place to favour the person winning the ball, not the tackler. So I actually think the interpretation of the rule goes against the spirit of the game, and I think how it should be played. And it's very hard for the players right now, and it's getting to a point, there's certain circumstances I've got to tell my players not to grab the ball.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? But you are taking on Geelong this week, and I just want to go back in time, almost a year to the day, because you also did take on the Cats in probably the best home and away game we've ever seen. I mean, take us to that game and what it was like being there. I feel like it was even at halftime, and in that third term, Dan, your side really kicked away. Yeah,
there was some ebbs and flows in that game, but I think one of the best things about playing Geelong down at GMHBA is the ground is phenomenal. And this year we've had a lot of windy games. We played obviously Frankston a lot, and I think to be on a surface like that against two teams who play a good, proactive game of footy, it's good. So we're very excited. Can't wait to get back there.
So that game's Thursday night. I can't wait. I've got a feature coming out tomorrow. I just want to sneak in that plug.
Nice.
There. Speaking to Nina Morrison and Jazz Fleming about it. But Dan, the Hawthorn of 2024 that we saw on that screen, which is so fun and exciting, piling on the goals. We've been talking about the last couple of weeks. Goals have not been easy to come by at Hawthorn in 2025. What's changed? Because it feels like, I don't know, is there another layer to the game plan? It's much more stagnant than it was last year.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, the game plan has stayed the same. I think we've definitely had some execution issues in parts of our game and a little bit of inconsistency. And I think if we pull back a little bit, there's elements around, we've had a lot of injuries this year, an injury to key players, and I think I touched on last week around not having Jazz Fleming and Gilroy in the side for for a lot of what we've done so far, and they're two very dynamic players, and they've had seasoning and injuries to probably some of our older players and more experienced players, and when you play a team system, those players are very important. So it's been good in a way though, because we've been able to build more capability into our side, things around like handling pressure, because a lot of our games have been intense. I think on the weekend that showed, and how we handled the last quarter when Collingwood got a run on. And even things around getting experience into our younger players and getting more positional versatility within our side. So I think it's going to hold us in really good stead moving forward. And I think to be 5-1 through all the challenges we've had has been really good. And I expect the next 6 weeks will really start to pick up, and if we can get some continuity within our side.
You mentioned Aileen Gilroy there. I imagine it was great to have her back in the side at the weekend. When you have that magnet and you can play around with it, what does it do for how the team can play holistically?
Yeah, well, I mean, it gives confidence to people to get the ball in her area, and obviously she's got a booming kick. But I think one of the things that, in general, the Irish players do really well is just their reaction time, and they're always wanting to take the game on and run and be proactive. And Gilly's the same. When Gilly's going to get the ball, there's no messing around. She's going to run, she's going to kick it, and I think, again, it makes the game faster, which is really good. Just
quickly, because I know you're probably a little bit restricted on what you can say here, but one of your young guns, Bridie Hipwell, unfortunately broke her leg in an incident, bit of a collision with Ash Centra.
Yep.
She did get fined for tripping in the very same incident in which she broke her leg. Bit rough, do you reckon?
It's a little rough. I thought breaking a leg was punishment enough, but no. Look, I think in that instance, Bridie's got no malice in how she plays, and I think it was a little unfortunate incident. She wasn't trying to trip. I think she was trying to get her feet sorted because she was trying to hold up Ash Centra, who's got one of the best side steps in the game right now. So. I think it was just an unfortunate incident, that one.
I think the word you're searching for is stiff, because that is adding some literal insult, some financial insult to injury. Now, you are on the search for a new head of AFLW.
Yep.
Max Bailey, previously in the role, he was doing a lot, quite stretched. So will it be nice to have someone just siloed in that position, and how will that strengthen your program?
Yeah, I think agreed. Like, Max has been doing a phenomenal job, basically doing 2 jobs at once. And so to get someone in, I think it just shows that the club wants to get as many resources into our program, which is awesome for us. So yeah, really exciting time for whoever comes in and takes that role.
It's an interesting move there, because we've seen clubs handle this quite differently. So the Dogs a few years ago were running with Chris Grant as their head of overall footy in a similar sort of capacity to Max Bailey, and then brought in Patrice Berthold to head up their W program and just be more specified, hands-on. The Ds, on the other hand, have gone the other way. In the absence of their previous head, they've given the role to Claire Pettifer, who's now split across both programs. So it's very much horses for courses.
Indeed.
And speaking of footy admin, just a nice little note, Kate Darby, we've got a new coach in waiting.
Okay.
Yes, the Geelong key forward, is going to be an assistant coach for the men's futures game on the weekend, which is great to see. So these are the top 17-year-olds from around the country. They're going to be playing in a curtain raiser to the grand final, and Kate's going to be on board in the coaching capacity.
You mentioned the AFL grand final this weekend. Busy times for everyone, including in the W space, because there's no games on Saturday. Free air for that grand final at 2:30 p.m. Just logistics-wise, how is it looking for all the teams? It's busy. There's a lot happening.
There is so much happening. This week has just been, I've been working 15-minute increments, I swear. So Thursday night kicks things off, and then a whole lot of games on Friday. The Cats are going to be able to go to the grand final. The Cats women's players, they're going to get a bus up to watch the game. The Lions, however, will be in Brisbane because they're playing on Sundays. So to support their club mates, they're going to have to watch together up north, which I don't think they're thrilled about, just quietly. And the Dockers, not involved in the last weekend in terms of the men's, but the women are coming over for an extended 9 to 10 day sort of Melbourne camp. And they've got 2 games over here. So they're deciding to have a bit of a mid-season, getaway, bonding sort of experience. One issue that they've run into is they cannot find a ground for their main training session on Monday.
In Victoria?
In Victoria.
In Melbourne, there's no ground.
They cannot find a ground. In Melbourne, the home of football. So normally when clubs come over, they get access for a captain's run. So they've got access to those grounds for captain's run. It's the main training session that's the issue. They've asked schools. It's school holidays at the moment, and the grounds are being transformed into cricket pitches. So the Dockers, if you know of an oval that has goalposts and has a centre square and can be used for 2 hours on a Monday, the Dockers are on the hunt, and they've looped in the AFL on this, such as their desperation.
Nice. Well, on that very busy Friday that you did just mention, at Whitten Oval, we've got the Western Bulldogs hosting Collingwood. And this piqued my interest during the week when it comes to the one club mentality at the Pies, because these are two small forwards, Lockie Schultz and Michaela Hyde, prepping together, looking at vision and getting ready for the weekend. Dan, this is something that we're seeing more often at clubs, this one club mentality. Is this common? Do you see stuff like this at Hawthorn as well?
Absolutely. I think like last year we had Jack Gunston and Mitch Lewis helping out with us, and Sam Mitchell starts at the top, like he's forever, talking to players and helping them out with things, and like that's a regular occurrence at our club with men's players working with our W players. And yeah, I think like our club is great in that sense, and we've been able to get things like past players like Shane Crawford doing jersey presentations in round one was phenomenal. And yeah, I think for us, like we're lucky because the club is just so invested in what we do, and it's just a great place to be.
So the Swans take on the Crows this weekend, and Scott Gowan's side are coming off back-to-back losses, which they won't be all too happy about. It's brought up some questions around their game style, whether it needs some changing or adapting, and this was Pies player Tani White at the weekend.
Yeah, it was interesting when we played them. We kind of scouted them as only having one game method, and it was they loved the uncontested, and it was a short kicking style and method, and we took that away instantly, and they had nothing to fall back on.
Tani, I think you should get around a microphone a little bit more, because she wasn't holding back there, was she? Not backwards and coming forwards, Dan. But she does highlight something when it comes to the Swans game plan, because they play a very free, fun, open style of footy, but it means they can get opened up on the way back. Is that what your scouting would tell you?
Yeah, I mean, Scott Gowans has said quite a lot that he wants to be a very offensive side, and one of the challenges of that is how you defend going the other way, and because obviously the more offensive you are, it's harder to then set up behind the ball, and always finding that balance is tricky.
And they're coming up against the Crows on the weekend. You played them a few weeks ago down in Frankston. They were at their scintillating best, I think it's safe to say, in that game, but they have been patchy throughout the year. Yeah,
unfortunate for us, they weren't patchy that day.
No.
They were phenomenal. They were really good. I mean, you got to start with Marinoff and Hatchard and stopping them. And I thought, we didn't do a very good job with trying to quell Hatchard's influence that day in particular. But they've just got like stars everywhere, and some of the work they do off ball is really impressive as well. So yeah, when they're at their best, they are still one of the absolute best teams in this comp.
Speaking of one of the best teams in the comp, I think they are the best team indeed, is North Melbourne, the reigning premiers. They come up against Essendon at Windy Hill. Some injury issues for both sides, Sarah, and for Alice O'Loughlin, a premiership roux. This one kind of came out of nowhere, a lacerated liver. It sounds nasty.
Yeah, this was quite sort of startling news when it broke on Monday. Alice has been in hospital. She was discharged on Tuesday with a lacerated liver. The latest out of the ruse is that she will be in non-contact training for 2 weeks, and then they'll wait and see from there, maybe another 2 weeks then of additional training. All of this is bracketed around we are going to be super careful. So they're very loose timelines at the moment. The explanation that was given to me as a comparison point is that Christian Petrarca, of course, had horrendous internal injuries. They were rated at a grade 5. Alice O'Loughlin's liver is rated a grade 2. So good news on that front. But I was at North Melbourne. I covered that game.
Yeah.
I was upstairs. The media box is right next to the players' sort of lounge, and they're all having post-game nibbles and drinks with their family. Not one scent of alarm or anything like that. It just sort of appeared out of nowhere very late in the piece.
Dan, we'll get you up for the deep dive. And as you're doing that, Sarah, let's take a look at the injury lists at both sides, because they're extensive, but it's affecting one more than the other. And this speaks to the depth that exists at North Melbourne, but not so much at the Dons, who did start at 3-0. The wheels are starting to fall off a little bit though, aren't they?
For sure, and yes, Essendon have replaced some of these players who are inactive, but it's the type of players I think that's really hurting the Bombers. So you put Bradford, Keeney, Van der Heuvel, Gay, and then even Verbruge as run and carry distributors, and they've just, like, the well is bare when it comes to that type of player. Whereas North Melbourne, Nicole Bresnaham wasn't even in the side when she did her ACL, unfortunately. Taylor Gatt missed on the weekend, and they put Ayla Sheeran on the wing. Like, God, what a luxury to have. So Alice O'Loughlin will come out with the liver. Vicky Wall, we expect to play. She'll take Alice O'Loughlin's spot. So, you know, things are pretty bright at the Roos, and I think this is going to be a very tough task for the Bombers. But get down to Windy Hill regardless, because it's a good vibe.
And let's get to the deep dive now with Dan, and Gemma Bastiani, a Star Lion. Gem is in focus.
Now, the Lions might not be the powerhouse this year that they have been in the past when this guy here was their midfield coach, but there is one player who is playing some phenomenal footy. D-Web, Courtney Hodder is playing some good footy coming up around the contest.
Yeah, she's getting up around the ground. You can see her numbers have improved from last year. But, I mean, the thing I love about Courtney Hodder is the aggression in the contest, but it's ice-cold aggression. Like, she's one of the nicest human beings off the field. But when she goes out there, she will smash you, and then she just gives nothing away. Like, there's no energy. It's just like gives the opposition nothing, and I love that about her.
You just can't rile her up, unfortunately. But we've got a couple of examples of her ability to use that aggression multiple times in passages of play. So obviously we're starting up here. She's started it in the forward line and come up to the contest. Talk through why this is so impressive.
Yeah, well, I think it's like she's got a licence clearly up around the ball to get a lot of pressure on, but it's the cleanliness in the contest there. You know, she's obviously very good at pressure, but the ground level work's been fantastic.
And her quick hands out. She worries opponents into grabbing her and giving away the free kicks as well. Here's another example. She comes in from this side of this contest. The repeat efforts are on show here.
Yep. This is a classic Hodder here. Comes in the reaction time then, hits bodies, go again, like really strong in the contest, be able to win the ball out and get teammates into space. And, you know, for Brisbane, obviously, when you get players on the inside that can win the ball and get to their runners, they're very dangerous. And
she hits again, and that's Jasmine Garner. She's not an easy player to bring down, but the physicality, repeat efforts, and it's the quick thinking, isn't it? So it's not just her physical ability to be fast, but in her brain she's fast as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see it in this clip with coming up as a half forward here. I love how quick she faces the game and then be able to move the ball forward, but she doesn't stay up the ground. You know, if she stays up too high, the Bulldogs' defenders will drop off. Again, my favourite part is that bodies on the ground, tackle someone on the ground. Kathy Spark, there's 3 Bulldogs players on the ground there. Like, it's really, really strong. Another effort. This is the one with coming up as a half forward. Better get the kick and then, stays in the game and is able to push back forward off the back of it. So get the hit up here and then faces the game really quick and then is able to move the ball forward from there.
And is this a good way to lose your direct opponent as well, is by coming up and then coming back into the forward line? She's able to take this mark because her opposition is out of position, isn't she? Yeah,
well, you force the defender in to make a decision. Are you going to come up high up the ground? Then you've got to work all the way back if they win it. Otherwise, they hold back as a +1, but then you can lose them in transition.
And the shortest player in the league at 152 centimetres, she can still take marks like that. I mean, best of luck to the Tigers this weekend to defend Courtney Hodder in a must-win game for the Lions.
Now, I knew she was little, Courtney Hodder. I didn't realise 152 centimetres, Sarah. In fact, you'd be a little bit taller than her. But 100 games this weekend for these 2 superstars of the competition. Ebony Marinoff on the left, Ali Anderson on the right. Stacked CVs for both of them. The first players to the milestone. It's huge, isn't it?
It is. 154 centimetres, just by the way. So yes,
you are
taller than
yeah, you are.
But yes, these 2 are stalwarts of the competition. Super reliable, super consistent, and best and fairest winners too, to boot.
Absolutely. Dan and Gemma, welcome onto the set. Ali Anderson is a player you know so well. Just give us a bit of background to her and how stoked you are for her to get to the 100 games.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, like, incredibly stoked for her and her, the ability of perseverance to be able to get through and not miss a game. I first met Ali back when she started. I think my dad coached her at the good old Zinwere Eagles.
Yeah, wow.
And obviously got to work with her at Brisbane. So it was, again, a very nice human being, but incredibly high work ethic. And one of those players, super easy to coach.
What makes her such a star?
I think, like, specifically for me, it's like she's worked hard in a contest, but it's the spread from contests. She's very smart in that sense.
Now let's have a look at how little Ebony looked when she did start her journey, because I feel like we watched her grow up before our eyes. Oh. That's her back in 2017. Look at that baby face. Now she's a baby face killer because she's an absolute gun, captaining the Crows now. And Dan mentioned it, Gemma, before, the longevity piece when it comes to these 2 players, because they haven't missed a beat, they haven't missed a game, but Ebony really should have missed one, given that she, cut her tongue open at one stage.
Yeah, back in 2018, playing up in Darwin, she had a couple of incidents where she had an eyebrow that had been cut open. So she had to keep coming to the boundary to get that looked at. And then start of the third quarter, she goes out, bites her tongue in half. She didn't want to have to come back to the boundary. So she just kept her mouth shut, didn't say anything to anyone, looked really quiet on the field. And they were wondering what was wrong, and then they went out and they saw that. A pretty gruesome injury, but she's had a number of injuries, and Ali, to her credit as well, has had a lot of surgeries over her time. So I spoke to both of their S&C coaches for a piece to come out on Sunday about the trials and tribulations of being a bulletproof player.
There's something about the tongue, isn't there? It's a bit growth, isn't it?
I know.
Thinking about that.
I know. And a noted chatter, Ebony Marinoff. So it's good to know the only thing that will stop it is a torn tongue.
On that note, let's have a look at the fixture for the upcoming round because there are cracking games everywhere. It kicks off on Thursday night. Dan's Hawks up against the Cats. Hopefully a repeat of last year's fabulous game. It is a stacked Friday. Clear air on Saturday for the AFL Grand Final, and then on Sunday 4 ripping games, finishing out west between the Eagles and the Giants. And remember, this Thursday and Friday sees a bumper AFLW slate of 5 matches, and if you're still in the hunt for a ticket to the Men's Grand Final, this could be your way in. A double pass will be given away at all 5 AFLW matches across Thursday and Friday, so just buy a ticket to the W, scan in, and you're in the draw. Each double pass will be given out to the lucky winners on the night. Head to women's.afl for full terms and conditions. How good is that? I mean, I know we'll all be working, but I don't mind winning something. I might scan my past gem and get some tickets. That sounds all right.
Winning stuff is good. Dan would know all about that.
Absolutely.
Winning's always good.
Feeling confident the winning ways are going to continue on Thursday night? 5-1, 6-1?
Well, I mean, Geelong are a great opponent, and as I said earlier, I think we're building strongly, and I'm excited for what the next few weeks holds.
Best of luck. Thanks for joining us.
It is my pleasure.
Sarah, Jem, thanks as always, and thanks for joining us on The W Show. Have fun across the weekend at the footy. We'll see you at the W.